It's your homegirl, Therese, a realtor with Keller Williams Realty Center.
And it's Jess Smith, mortgage loan officer with PNC Bank.
Guys, if you're interested in real estate, we're here to help you make an informed decision. Housing is a necessity. We all need housing. Everyone needs shelter. We've seen that over the past couple of years with COVID. Today, we'll be talking about a real estate recession. Jess, what constitutes a real estate recession?
It's just a contraction in home sales over the last 6 months. So a reduction in sales from 1 month to the next, specifically over the last 6 months.
Okay, and now has there been any slowdowns over the last 6 months?
Yeah, so I think experts are starting to say that we're in a recession. And that's just mainly because we're down 20% from 6 million over the year over year to last year. And then just from June to July, we're down just under 6% month over month. So, we have seen a decline in overall home buildings or overall home sales, existing home sales. And we've also seen some data points that are, impacting one of the biggest areas of our economy that has done really well through COVID is home building, right? Home building has been booming. They can't build houses fast enough, right? But we are seeing some home builder sentiment getting a little bit lower. And that probably is just due to supply and demand, cost of materials. It's just not as easy for them to build homes as it used to be. And they're not able to get through it as quickly.
Okay, awesome. I've been seeing a lot of that as well. And then interest rates, would that play a role in the slowdown as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think interest rates are, even though interest rates are still historically low. I mean, we had some artificially lower rates over the last 2 years with COVID, and that was, something that we may not see ever again. But even now, at in the fives, we're still historically low. However, that has changed, and it makes it difficult for buyers. So let's say I put in a contract for a home. To build a home, and my payment was X when I signed my contract, and now interest rates have gone up significantly. I may be seeing, $100 or more difference in my monthly payment just with the rising interest rates, which I think is sometimes hard to swallow for some home buyers. So yeah, I think that has been a huge part of the slowdown. People are a little bit more cautious now than what they were during those 2.5 years of COVID.
So with that being said, if your monthly mortgage, so if you're buying a house, let's just say at $400,000 at a 3% interest rate, putting 20% down, I believe your monthly mortgage would be around $1,860. And the higher the interest rate goes, you're able to buy less home. So at 4%, you're most likely able to buy a $370,000 home and have that same payment. So, yeah, so interest rates.
And it does. And I think it's also really, something to remember is that with rising interest rates, so are rent payments. So, when we think about, if I was, a first-time home buyer thinking about buying a home, and I'm concerned about my monthly mortgage payment, well, I should also be concerned about my monthly rent payment, because your landlord and your property management company are also going to be considering increasing the rent, and they're not limited by how much they can increase the rent by. So they can increase it however much they want to. It is something to also consider.
I agree with that, because I see rising rent prices going up in by the hundreds. So
correct.
Yeah, this is really a rare market that we're in right now. Will we see a housing market crash in your opinion?
Yeah, I think the experts are saying it's really unlikely. There's a few reasons why that is the case. So I know the last time we felt like we were in a bubble was right before that 2008, 2009 period, right? There are a lot of factors, if you look at the data, that are very different this time around than what happened back then. So one, housing inventory is still at the record low. There is a huge demand still. Builders cannot build quickly enough to meet demand. Demographic trends are creating new buyers. So there are a lot of other things. So rising home prices, back then, the home prices were dropping. They were the amount of equity that people were having was significantly lower than what we're looking at now. Lending standards is a huge part of it, right? So back in the housing bubble of 2008, 2009, lending standards were very different. And so they have remained strict to continue to document the ability to repay a mortgage. And so that has caused significantly fewer foreclosures as well. So the amount of foreclosures we're looking at nationwide is significantly lower than what we faced back then. So, this is we may be in a recession from a home sales standpoint, but we're not in a recession in home prices, Trez. There are still signs that the market's starting to shift a little bit to the buyer's favor, but homeowners are not in a recession. They're still positioned positively with their financial wealth and the equity of their homes. So, I think the word recession can sound really scary and the news can make it sound really scary. But I think everyone's going to be positioned a little bit differently. And the data is still showing that being a homeowner is still financially the most advantageous.
I agree with what everything you just said, Jessica. Over the past 6 recessions, home values appreciated in 4 of those housing recessions, and they only fell twice. So, today's housing market is nothing like it was in 2008.
Correct.
So, and I think, like you said, history does prove a recession, but that doesn't equal a housing crisis.
Correct.
Awesome.
Correct.
So, with that being said, excuse me, my throat. If anyone is thinking about purchasing a home, or even if you're thinking about sitting this one out, I just say double down, stay encouraged, and continue putting in the work, keeping your credit scores up and keeping your expenses down. Jess, you have the last word today.
Yeah. So quote of the day: do not let any obstacles stop you. Where there are obstacles, there are also great opportunities. So, I think it's important. Yeah, there are challenges in our market right now where we've got challenges that we're faced with in the housing industry, but that doesn't mean that there's not opportunity. And so data shows being a homeowner still provides the most wealth. I know a lot of people are moving retirement funds into equity because equity is growing faster than the stock market. So things to consider.
Awesome. And when preparation meets opportunity, guys, just continue to prepare. The market will come back. I think actually as well, Jess, I don't even think that is a shift in market. I think the market is actually correcting itself. Trends are showing that we're going back to a buyer's market. We've been in the seller's market for, I'm not going to say way too long, but it's been long. So buyers now have the opportunity to purchase a home using grants, not waiving on home inspections and things that are important. So this is a correcting market. So I say, as long as your payment is affordable and the loan officers are making sure of that. I know Jess, she doesn't care about what you qualify for. She cares about your monthly payment. So guys, just continue to prepare. Your time is going to come. Thanks, Jess.
Awesome. Have a wonderful week.